Okay, in this short lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about how to find the main idea of a passage. We're going to practice with short texts, but you should be able to do this with longer texts as well. Being able to determine the main idea of a passage is a really important skill that you need to have, and it can apply to any kind of reading. It's important when you read for enjoyment, but also to get general information, like when you read textbook chapters for your classes. It's not as important to remember all of the details of something, but it is very important to discover the general message and understand the general message or the main idea of the passage. Sometimes, though, you'll need to understand both, especially if you're reading textbooks for classes that you're taking. You might need to understand the main ideas and the details of those passages. So the main idea is something that covers the entire reading. It connects everything together, and you can connect ideas from the beginning of the text to the end of the text to the main idea. Sometimes the main idea is stated in the first sentence or the last sentence of a paragraph, and sometimes it's only implied, meaning it's not directly stated, but you can guess what the main idea is based on the information from the passage. So I want to point out this part of the instructions to you. This is very important. To determine the main idea of a piece of writing, ask yourself what idea is common to most of the text. What idea relates the parts to the whole? In other words, what idea connects all ideas in the paragraph to a whole entire idea? What opinion do the parts support? And what idea do they all explain or describe? So those are really important ideas to ask yourself when you're thinking about the main idea of a passage. So sometimes you need to be able to recognize the main idea, and sometimes you actually need to give the main idea in your own words. So the practice exercises here are going to allow you to do both of those things. Let's do this example together, and then we'll take a look at the explanation on page 23. So don't look at the explanation just yet. Let's try to do this together. I'll read it and try to follow along in your own textbook as I read. By the time the first European travelers on the American continent began to record some of their observations about Native Americans, the Cherokee people had developed an advanced culture that probably was exceeded only by the civilized tribes of the Southwest, Mayan and Aztec groups. The social structures of the Cherokee people consisted of a form of clan kinship in which there were 7 recognized clans. All members of a clan were considered blood brothers and sisters and were bound by honor to defend any member of the clan from wrong. Each clan, the bird, paint, deer, wolf, blue, longhair, and wild potato, was represented in the civil council by a counselor or counselors. The chief of the tribe was selected from one of these clans and did not inherit his office from his kinsmen. Actually, there were 2 chiefs, a peace chief and a war chief. The peace chief served when the tribe was at peace, but the minute war was declared, the war chief was in command. So now I want you to read each of these statements and think about which one do you think best expresses the main idea of this passage. In other words, what idea is common to most of the text? What idea relates the parts to the whole? What opinion do all the parts support? And what idea do they all explain or describe? Okay. A, the Cherokee chief was different in wartime than in peacetime. B, before the arrival of the Europeans, Cherokees had developed a well-organized society. C, the Mayans and the Aztecs were part of the Cherokee tribe. Or D, several Native Americans had developed advanced civilizations before Europeans arrived. So take a moment and decide which of those, A, B, C, or D, do you think best expresses the main idea of the passage. Okay, and then once you do, now you can turn to page 23 and take a look at the explanation. So for answer choice A, the Cherokee chief was different in wartime than in peacetime. This is not the main idea. It's a specific example. It's not connected to all of the parts of the whole paragraph. Rather, it's just a small part of the paragraph, and therefore it's not the main idea. Statement B is the correct answer choice. It expresses the main idea of the whole paragraph. All of the other sentences in the paragraph are examples that support the idea that Cherokees developed an advanced culture by the time Europeans arrived on the continent. So statement B makes a very good main idea. Statement C is actually false, according to the passage. So because it's false, it cannot be the main idea. And then statement D is way too general. The paragraph only describes the social structure of the Cherokee people only. Although the author names other advanced Native American cultures, he only does this to strengthen the argument that the Cherokees had developed an advanced culture, but doesn't really talk anymore about those other Native American cultures. So it's too general, it's too broad. In other words, it covers too much. Okay? So now I would like for you to try some examples on your own. Try these examples, and then there's also some, try these examples and check the answer key first. Then when you have a good feeling for these examples, there's another set of examples that you can try and check the answer key as well.